I grew up around Poughkeepsie, New York, a small city on the Hudson River, fairly well known. And for the last few decades, it has been a hotspot for Chung Do Kwan style Taekwondo. When I was 5 years old, my parents signed up my brother and I for a class at the Poughkeepsie YMCA. They didn't know what Chung Do Kwan was. My dad played racquetball there on Saturday mornings. It was something for us to do during that time. This story isn't unique in the Chung Do Kwan world. It also isn't unique that I'm practicing almost 20 years later. Every 5-year-old boy wants to do karate, but not everyone has the dedication to commit their time to a Korean martial art. I'm Tom Hurlis, and I'm going to share with you the thoughts of a number of master level black belts and discuss their commitments and the different cultures of Chung Do Kwan. In this day and age, where sports-style Taekwondo is so prolific, it may surprise many to learn that there is a whole world of Taekwondo which at its core believes in the principle of strong blocks and a single strike so powerful that a fight would ideally end in one blow. Dave Schwartz.
I believe it was 1954, the Korean masters unified their Korean martial art.
Tae Kwon Do is a name applied to martial arts. It was an attempt by the president of Korea after the Korean War to unify Korea. So those that adopted it, and not everybody adopted it, it became known as Taekwondo and your particular style. Taekwondo is not a style, it's a name. So it's Taekwondo Chung Do Kwan style. And there's Taekwondo Do Kwan style and Taekwondo Do Kwan style. And I think there's probably about 9 different organizations that adopted the name Taekwondo.
One such organization represented at the unification meeting was Chung Do Kwan and head instructor Duck Sung Sun, who later relocated to the United States.
Grandmaster Sun came to the United States in 1963. Mr. Sun's first residence was the YMCA in Hackensack, New Jersey. And he lived there for a number of years until he had enough money where he could move to New York City.
Chung Do Kwan is a much more powerful style. It's strictly military oriented. Mr. Sun taught the military. So basically he taught them one attack, finish.
It was Master Sun's philosophy, but he was taught by Wan Kook Lee. All of them had a very strong emphasis on linear strikes and powerful blocks, and that sort of a thing. The emphasis was on fighting as a martial art as opposed to sport. Therefore, the seriousness and the destructive force behind the blocks and the strikes were quite important. In fact, there's many styles that strike with figure, but we're one of the few styles of any martial art that actually blocks as opposed to parries, moves out of the way. We block in an attacking manner to break the wrists, to cause spasm, to really spin the person around and take control of the match, and using the blocks in an offensive manner.
Grandmaster Sun continued teaching through his World Taekwondo Association until 2009 when he retired. In 2011, Grandmaster Duck Sung Sun passed away at the age of 88, with thousands of students spread throughout a number of Chung Do Kwan organizations. For decades, Wednesday was the only weeknight Grandmaster Sun didn't have a scheduled workout in his New York City headquarters. That's because on that night, he'd catch the Metro North Hudson line and make the trip to Poughkeepsie to teach an advanced class. After Mr. Sun's retirement, this continues, with 6th Dan Jim Brady leading.
The biggest thing for me was to never let the energy of the class change from what Mr. Sun had. The cadence with the counts, the amount of energy, the drive, the speed of class, and the power had to remain there. being told to take that class, and was Mr. Sun said, "I'm not here, you teach." But being told to take that class to me was a very great honor, and an even greater responsibility that the Wednesday class stay as it always was.
Second part, wrist is straight and in line with the middle of the forearm.
Across town, 7th Dan Pete Michelson is with a very different crowd. In addition to his more traditional class, he teaches 2 sections of Introduction to Martial Arts, a hybrid college course of history and practice.
Traditionally, the class is mostly beginners, and this class is a required class for criminal justice students. Everyone else, it's an elective. And they come in here and I tell them right off the bat, well, some people that have never done it before are really nervous the first night because they don't know what they get into. And some people find out that they're not as coordinated as they think, and some people pick it up and they like it.
Staying in New York, another master instructor has a long-standing school of students. With workouts in multiple towns and many high-level black belts, the group based in Westchester is one of the longest running we are covering, all started by 7th Dan Rico Dos Anjos.
I've given them everything I've ever learned. I've had experience with judo. I've had experience with jiu-jitsu, stand-up and grappling jiu-jitsu with aikido mixed in and capoeira. Here, my school, they spar that way.
It's always been considered an extended family, very close friends. The Poughkeepsie group actually started about 1966 through IBM and grew to include other parts of the Hudson Valley because a lot of the IBMers became teachers in the area. So the other classes formed around the valley and brought other people in from other areas, and that's how the Hudson Valley grew. But it started with IBM back in '66. It exploded probably in the 70s and 80s, when I started.
With his extensive Taekwondo career approaching 35 years, the last decade has seen a shift when Pete switched organizations to work with Master Dong Hoon Kim.
I was considering starting a different style. My students suggested that I stick with Tae Kwon Do because I could be a very good white belt in another style. Well, I've known Master Kim for a number of years, so I gave him a call and I said, what does it take to join your association? It takes nothing. Fill out a form. Master Kim will tell you you made a mistake and he'll laugh. And he'll say, try harder. And we're learning new forms. We're constantly learning new things.
I developed what I think is a unique fighting style. But a lot of people are doing a lot of the moves that we've done. We've been doing them since birth, okay? Our birth in Taekwondo. Could you do a spinning kick without hitting? Could you do a flying kick without hitting? Could you sweep, without hurting, okay? And I told these guys that we train you. I got my guys fighting as white belts. They do everything everybody else does. They got good control.
Approaching the teaching of Taekwondo with a focus on commitment and dedication fits with the way Pete is practiced, an approach suitable for a Marine.
Marine Corps has 3 criteria: honor, courage, and the last one is commitment. Marine Corps training was hard, but anybody can do it if you commit to doing it. The same thing with the martial art. If you practice really hard, you're going to pick it up. You have to commit to it. You can't do it. You can't just pop in. You have to commit to it doing it.
There's no animosity in my class. No one has something to prove to someone else. Everybody's trying to help somebody. And I hope we continue to do that. I hope we continue to show it to everybody. And I hope that people from different schools, if they like it, do it.
One aspect of the Poughkeepsie Wednesday night class is the presence of a number of high-level black belts and instructors.
You want to always encourage those instructors and even drive those folks, along with everybody, to keep the bar here and then force it here and force it here and force it here. So they're always improving, and the more you improve, the more your students will improve. You should never walk into class thinking there isn't something you can learn. teaching or not teaching. There isn't something you can learn.
Visiting the Northeast on the not-so-short flight from Texas, 6th Dan Eric Nathman and his students from Lone Star Taekwondo know the importance of interacting with other practitioners.
It's a big deal for us to travel because we're so remote. You know, you get used to just fighting your own people, and you're used to that, and it's such a big experience to get to be with other people. There's a consistency in the message, and I think we're all very careful that we want to keep the standard very high. We want to keep it challenging. So, and then instructor to instructor, there is a lot of similarity, but you can tell the differences. You know, but they all push. They all have some method about them that, you know, you hope that pushes people to their limits.
Based in Somerset, Pennsylvania, 6th Dan Barb Hauger's Paramount Martial Arts Center requires lengthy car rides to visit other classes and events.
Something that we do. I tell my students, like, you're around all these 5th, 6th, and 7th degree black belts. I mean, it's phenomenal. You need to be a part of it. And then, as far as like testing, what I like about the testing is it helps keep me in check and my students in check. You know, because I feel I'm with my peers. I'm going to make sure my students are doing what they need to be doing. I look forward to it. It's like, whoa, somebody new, because you know they're going to have a different tweak on things. And it's like, it just makes everybody better.
Out of Philadelphia, the Drexel Taekwondo Club and their head instructor, 5th Dan Dave Schwartz, find themselves in a similar need to travel in order to attend Taekwondo events.
We're in Philadelphia, we're in a city, most of the kids don't have cars. So every event we go to is, up until recently, been hours away. But because students don't have their own cars, we have to carpool together. And so we would spend a lot of time in the car together. And it was actually, I would get excited about these events because you have students in class, I don't socialize with them a whole lot, and you get to learn about them. You get to learn about their backgrounds. They're from, you know, more so than other schools, they're from different states. They're, you know, what are they studying? You know, what makes them tick? What got them into Taekwondo? You learn a lot. And so it's interesting. You get students who have come from other martial arts backgrounds, so you learn a little bit like, hey, you know, how did you do this in your school? How did your school handle that? You learn about their experiences, and that feeds our culture.
You kicked my ass, man. And you got on tape. It's horrible. I was school with Junior. Everything was going great. You didn't get any of that.
A native New Yorker, Eric emphasizes the commitment to interacting with other instructors as important for both personal improvement and his students.
And as you get higher and higher, you should be able to make corrections and improve yourself based on, you know, your long experience. But being exposed to other people and the quality of the instruction, and not just the instruction, the other belts that you see outside your own class and the sparring and everything. You can't be a good, dedicated martial artist and not have it affect all aspects of your life. And when you're exposed to such quality people, it's really amazing. It's a giant family that would do anything for you without even having to know you. You meet quality person after quality person, and you raise your game. So you should come to as much as you possibly can.
With more than 25 years of teaching experience, Barb now owns her own school, taking her Taekwondo instruction to the next level.
Well, I'm doing this full time now. The first thing to start the business, to do it full time, I put in more class time, operating 6 days a week. I have students from age 3.5 to my oldest guy working out 60 right now. I'm living the dream, which is fun.
So one of the byproducts of having students constantly turn over from the university, you know, I have them maybe 4 years at the most if I'm lucky, and that's kind of rare. Usually it's 2 to 3 years, is that students are relatively new to the process. So I'm constantly bringing students who are going to a tournament for the first time, or who are going to be going to a camp for the first time. There's not a lot of old timers. There's not a lot of folks who are used to this, that, and the other thing. So it keeps my enthusiasm level, my energy level really high, because, you know, it's easy to get used to things and take them for granted. And when you're constantly surrounded by people who are like, wow, did you see that guy from Texas? Did you see how he did that? Or wow, did you see those 2 6 degrees go at it? Or wow, do you see those brown belt women? They're fierce. When you see them discovering all these things for the first time constantly, it keeps your energy level and your excitement level high, and you realize, you know, the value to every tournament and the value to every black belt test and the value to every camp. I mean, that there are people who, you know, haven't been to 30 years of these, and that for them, this is something really, really special, and you shouldn't take it for granted, because you shouldn't slack off for any second, and that it always keeps you conscious of that.
Based in New Jersey, the American Taekwondo Academy and head instructor Frank Coppola place family and friendship at the basis of their group.
The ATKDA's mission statement is family exercise with a purpose. Taekwondo is a great vehicle to put families together. The family could be literally a person's family, but there's plenty of folks in the ATKDA whose family is the class. And now, I mean, it's contagious, it's fun. Who doesn't like hanging out with people that are having a good time?
From Monmouth County, New Jersey, the father-son teaching team of Victor Alfonso Sr. and Victor Alfonso Jr. lead a family-oriented school with humble roots.
It was the quintessential karate is your life, because everyone did it. Our original class, when we started in Freehold, New Jersey, was in our backyard. It was in the garage of our backyard. That's how we started. So in the beginning, I mean, if you look at our roots, it was definitely a family-based karate.
When people see what we have accomplished as a family, it brings other families that ability to look. How many, nowadays, you don't have that family unity of doing stuff together. And this is a great opportunity, this Chung Do Kwan class. It just brings everybody together.
As head instructors of the United Taekwondo Society, Sixth Dan's Chris and Paul Kelly have a long tradition of cooperative instruction.
We went on our own and we formed the United Taekwondo Society. And so we were that really right on through. And then once we went back to Master Sun, we still had our organization, plus we were in the World Taekwondo Association. So it took really years, and we kind of, you know, let the United Taekwondo Society dissolve, really. So once, you know, Mr. Sun retired, we thought it would be a good time, and we started the United Taekwondo Society back up.
Martial arts is something that is helpful in everything. It's something that builds you up from the inside out, even if you have the outside to begin with as an athlete, or if you're not an athlete. It builds a person into doing good in everything that they do.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2.
My wife is soon to be a 4th degree black belt, which is amazing. She does 10 classes a week, teaches all the tots, all the kids. And we're living it. You know, for so many years I had said family exercise with a purpose and encouraged families to go. And now to have my family do it, it's like now I get it. Now I understand why everybody's having so much fun.
After years operating in the Newburgh, New York school together, Paul relocated and runs a location in North Carolina, while Chris maintains the Newburgh site.
Well, I wasn't planning on teaching when I first got down there. It was always, I got 6 kids, and it was always the kids were always involved, but it was always a battle between homework, taekwondo, not being there for dinner. I wasn't going to get into it, but my wife, she knew it was something that I needed to do, so she scoped out the recreation centers and everything and kind of found the best one.
So we've been here really 28 years, and we've been teaching here about 25, 26. We talk all the time. So the consistency and what he's doing and what I'm doing, and we always feed off of each other, you know, with the class. Oh, what are you doing there? Oh, yeah, what are we doing? And so it really works out well.
In addition to the classes designated for families and children, the ATKDA continues Grandmaster Sun's Black Belt Friday tradition. The workout is held once a month for advanced students both in and outside their organization.
I remember my first Black Belt Friday as a brown belt going to Grandmaster Sun's. The wooden floor at headquarters was really rough. And I remember leaving my first Black Belt Friday and being on the subway and taking my sneakers off, and my feet were bleeding. It was funny, I do remember nobody sat next to me for some reason. And it was one of the hardest workouts I had, and I couldn't wait to go back. We resurrected Black Belt Friday, I don't know, it's got to be 10 years now. We've been doing Black Belt Friday with that same format. Modified a couple things. And one of the fun things about Black Belt Friday, for my memory, was you never knew who was going to show up. And there was a different dynamic each week. And now to have Black Belt Friday and to see the same thing, you never know who's going to show up, and everybody steps up their game. When there's a different club in the room, you step up your game.
The people that we've had the honor of practicing with throughout the years and the people that we have the honor of practicing with now, all those people inspire us. And for me, and I'm sure for my father also, we hope that through our hard work and our dedication and our intensity that we also inspire them.
For me personally, having a high rank, that doesn't really interest me. What's more important is practicing. I don't care if you're 6, 7, 8 degree, but if you're not out there practicing, teaching and teaching and teaching, that's my reward. That's what I look forward to.
At the end of the day, what matters is, did I leave it all at practice?
Chris and I was an adult when I started karate. He was a kid. So when we fought, he always fought his older brother, who was an adult that he couldn't hurt. So he would wail everything he had at me, and I would have to defend myself. So that's why I got better, because I had to let him think I was still older than him. At about 30 years old, he was still wailing on me and thinking that he couldn't hurt me.
Yeah, if anything's wrong, I always blame it on Paul. He's the older brother, and it's his fault. So.
The first summer camp, you had no idea what Mr. Sun was going to do. The first summer camp was brutal.
It was a ton of brutal fighting. People didn't know each other.
Wow. The original camp, you had everybody coming in, and everybody was their hero, okay? Like Enter the Dragon. That's the best way I can say it.
Protected by an invincible army that needs no ordinary weapons. This is Enter the Dragon.
So I get to this field at Storm King, and there's all these other people in their gis and their black belts coming out across the field. I'm like, who are these guys? I never saw them before.
So we lined up, and it was outrageous. It was something like 20 or 25 fights, and these people are just there. It seemed like they were, everybody's trying to prove something. They're all over, and you're fighting 2-on-1. Everybody was bruised.
It was a fantastic experience. It's everything that we were doing the martial arts for. It was a boot camp type atmosphere.
A lot of you've seen in tournaments, at black belt tests, demonstrating Mr. Sun pulled them out. And now you're in amongst them, even running the field. And for me, I'm a very competitive person. So for me, it was, you have to do your best to show you belong.
Everybody's coming, and first of all, it was brutal. It was like 100 degrees, no fans, no nothing. And like, when you're sweating at night, you've done another class. So you had to constantly drink. Otherwise, you were dehydrated even at night. So I naturally made a telephone call to one guy that was coming late. I said, bring every fan that you can bring. Brought fans. We were the only ones that had fans. The following year, we had air conditioners.
And Mr. Sun said, in Korea, hot, cold, never mattered. Taekwondo.
Everybody was talking about this summer camp and how brutal it is, but how much fun they were having, and we couldn't understand that until we got there.
Everybody had black and blues and welts and this and that. First day. Second day, it was toned down a little bit because you were already messed up. Third day, you became family.
After 17 years, the World Taekwondo Association's annual camp retired with Grandmaster Sun. In 2010, a separate multi-organization summer camp, which included the ATKDA and Paramount Martial Arts, expanded to include other Chung Do Kwan schools who trained under Grandmaster Sun.
The way we got it now is very, very good. Nobody's really highly critical of anybody because everybody's there to work out and to work out strong.
The first instructor was up 6 a.m. That was it. It was just Taekwondo. And Mr. Sun trained us so well that it's just Taekwondo.
It was exactly what I was hoping, and it will continue in the same vein, regardless.
To get the hard, traditional Chung Do Kwan practice, and then to get exposure and open your eyes to how big this really is. It's Awesome.
Because from an instructor's perspective, there's no substitute developmentally for summer camp. It doesn't matter what student you bring to camp, whether they're a brown belt or a third-degree black belt, they go to camp and they're completely different when you go back to the first class after camp than when they got there.
And it's a challenge every year to get up, go there, and then afterwards you feel a great sense of accomplishment.
The front rows, all 6th and 7th degrees, yeah, it's intimidating. But after a while, it's just Pete and Victor and Rico and Jerry, and you realize that they're just like everybody else. They've just been doing it a little bit longer. That's the fun of it. You can talk to anybody.
To get everybody united and to see that we're still practicing Chung Do Kwan. The forms might be a little bit different, but basically it's all the same.
It's difficult, and we know it's going to be difficult. We're going to keep it up no matter who's up there. And it's going to be, the same, you're going to hear the same message. You're going to be in a slightly different way. Each instructor has their own kind of take on it. And, but I really think that it's been just a huge benefit.
It's just fun. I like that there's a change of instructors. It just adds a variety of things.
I missed it. Summer camps were good, hard workouts. The word gets out that summer camp's there. We don't care what organization, you're going to do what Mr. Sun taught, and we have fun.
You have to go.